Well, good morning and congratulations, graduates of 2020. We are so proud of you and all that you've been able to accomplish during your time at Lee. Just think back at all that you've been able to do. The learning, in-depth learning in one or more disciplines, service learning, engagement in cross-cultural experiences and trips, and the many, many deep relationships you have formed that will last a lifetime. And just this year, you have conquered Zoom, hybrid, live, face-to-face learning, independent study, and a various combination of all of the above. So congratulations for that achievement. We're really proud of you, and we promise we will not forget the class of 2020. Please don't forget Lee University, your alma mater. Stay in touch. We want to hear from you. So now let's hear from 3 students graduating in this class and representing you. First, we'll hear from Caroline Byrd from Land O'Lakes, Florida. Caroline is completing a Bachelor of Music in Music and Worship, and she plans to continue that ministry in local churches. And next, we'll hear from Micah Drees from Collierville, Tennessee. Micah is completing a double major in public relations and international studies with a variety of minors. Micah plans to continue study by enrolling in the Master of Business Administration degree program here at Lee University. And finally, we'll hear from Hannah Lisulo. Hannah is completing the Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, and she plans to continue study by engaging in the Master of Science in School Counseling degree program here at Lee University. So, before we hear from these 3 students, let me remind you to join us at 12 o'clock noon to hear the tolling of the bells here on the Lee University campus and to see the names of all the graduates scroll on the screen. So congratulations again, graduates. We're proud of you. We pray for God's blessings on your future, and please come back and see us. Let's hear from Caroline.
To those of you who are taking the time to watch and listen to me speak today, thank you. I can tell you with absolute certainty that this is not how I dreamed of experiencing this moment. I really believed that our winter commencement was going to be the first large gathering of 2020, and it was looking pretty good there for a little bit. Despite the turn of events, however, I can't help but remind myself of the countless times during my Lee journey that I almost didn't even make it to this moment at all, in-person ceremony or not. Unlike its bizarre conclusion, my Lee journey started with a very normal beginning. I, like so many others, was born into a family of generations of Lee alumni. Uncles, cousins, grandparents, family friends. So many people in my life had already left their fingerprints all over our beautiful campus before I ever enrolled. I once heard a chapel speaker say that he wore Lee University diapers. That was me. I was definitely a Lee University diaper kid. So in August of 2016, I found myself hauling a van load into Sharp Davis. I remember that first weekend so vividly still. Campus was swarmed with navy blue Deek Day t-shirts. Everyone was loud and everything was new. I was energized by my new taste of freedom. I was 18 and the entire world was mine to explore and conquer. I immediately took on a full load of credits, joined the Lee Singers, and found out that I was cast as a lead role in the theater department's production of Dracula, all within my first week of college. Growing up, I was always the girl who could do a lot of things, and I really enjoyed that. However, I think I confused the idea of being the girl who could do a lot of things with the idea of being the girl who had it all together. I started out as a theater major and then eventually switched my major to music and worship by the following fall. I love to perform. I'm also a type A personality, and if you're familiar with the Enneagram, I'm a 2-wing 1. Put it all together, and what do you have? Anxiety. Maybe not in every case, but definitely in mine and so much of it. I had a difficult time saying no to opportunities that came my way, and an even harder time existing with unresolved conflict in my relationships. I wanted to please everyone around me and condition myself to believe that I just might do so if I could be everything for everyone. I have been the mom of every friend group. But when you're trying to be everything for everyone, you forget to be anything at all for God. In 2017, I began my sophomore year. I switched to music, got a job in the admissions office, got cast in my third lead production, ran a small group, and joined another club. My academics, I'm embarrassed to say, were just completely off the table at that point. My success and fulfillment meter became solely dependent on how much other people needed me and how many of my gifts and talents and interests could benefit others. An innocent, helpful exterior was actually masking a prideful, insecure interior. That anxiety I mentioned earlier, it grew exponentially, but quietly, so as not to be noticed. I knew something was very wrong, but I was on the go. I was strong. I was a leader. There were people that counted on me, and I loved being counted on. Through a series of hard lessons, tough love, and intense spiritual awakenings, I realized that I was running myself out of breath and into the ground trying to be everything for everyone. I slowly began to break bad habits and create healthy ones. I learned to prioritize serving God and His kingdom over my desire to feel needed by other people. I finally did things because I wanted to do them, like work for Tech Crew or be a part of the Worthy Now committee. I learned how to say the word no, and my close friends would be shocked at how good I am at it now. The Bible verse that carried me through my college career was Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. I'm sure you're all familiar with the passage. It says not to worry about anything, but instead present every request and need to God through prayer and with thanksgiving. For a girl who has her worrisome mind on a lot of things, my mind can rest at the reminder that I can bring all of those things to the feet of Jesus. My lead journey probably looks similar or different to a lot of yours, often challenging, occasionally dark, but never without the calm after the storm, never without the joy that comes in the morning. I don't know if my lead journey makes me special, but I hope it can bring encouragement. I define my lead journey not by the hardship I endured, but by the hope that I found in Jesus Christ along the way. Thank you.
Expect something great. These are the words that stood out to me in the Lee University freshman application packet. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm curious how they can promise something like expect something great. How is that? Even now as a graduating senior, I'm still very intrigued by this phrase, not because it is without evidence or an elusive phrase, but because of its complexity. Even after 9 semesters, 184 credit hours, and 6 trips to the Calling and Career Office, I still think I have no more mastery over this phrase than I did when I was a bumbling freshman. Shakespeare speaks of greatness in one of his famous adages in his play The Twelfth Night, where he says, "Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them." And I can think of no better way to sum up my Lee experience than by demonstrating how Lee University expects something great of its students in all 3 of these ways. So first, when Shakespeare says some are born great, Lee University says all students have an innate greatness and potential. There's obviously many ways that Lee does this, but in my situation, I can think of 2 specific ones. First is in the dedicated faculty. In the 2 schools that I call home, that is communications and political science, in each I've had the privilege and blessing of having an advisor that has an open door policy that allows me to raid their office. I'm the type of student that if I need to figure out an answer, I'll immediately go to office hours. And so having this one-on-one connection in order for me to find it out in my own way truly shows how much Lee is dedicated to the learning path and the innate greatness within its students. Second is the hub. I've had the privilege of being both the beneficiary of and a student under the first year programs and the student success office. In both of these, I've seen the time, the manpower, and the intent of some of these coaches and staff willing to pour into students to find a sleeping greatness or dormant abilities that can be accessed and activated. Some of my greatest conversations at Lee have been in the basement of the student union, where I've discovered something about myself. I don't think I would be where I am or who I am today without Lee University seeing that greatness within me. Second, when Shakespeare says some achieve greatness, Lee University says, we'll provide you with the opportunity to excel and achieve. In fact, in my Lee experience, I've seen this specifically in how Lee handles off-campus achievement. For example, in my public relations program, I had the honor of joining 4 fellow classmates in competing nationally in the Bateman competition. This is where we worked with the Public Relations Society of America and did true PR work. We found a client, represented them, and did a campaign. And ultimately, we ranked in the top 13 nationally that year. The point is that we were able to achieve beyond just these borders. Another example is in my international studies program. I joined fellow classmates and flew to New York, where we were a part of the National Model UN. There we discussed international security, transnational economics, and even took home an honorable mention that year. The point is that Lee University is exhaustive in finding ways for its students to achieve. Third, when Shakespeare says some have greatness thrust upon them, Lee University says, how about a Starbucks in the student union? Jokes aside, there's a spontaneity and an unexpected that Lee University can tell us to expect, a greatness that we might not know is coming. In my own experience, think back to sophomore year where I had a dorm mate that I absolutely could not stand and saw myself never getting along with. Well, as divine will would have it, he's now going to be one of my groomsmen in my wedding later this week. Yes, I did just say wedding. Okay, side note. For those of you that are still struggling to find that ring by spring, take a 9th semester. It really helped me out. Other instances of this unexpected are also in the core program. While some people write this off, I've found that particular professors like Dr. Hasso in business, Dr. Wilkins in language, or Dr. Gladden in math, although none of these professors were a part of my direct major studies, they really rounded out my education in a true liberal arts fashion. I wouldn't be where I am without all these pieces of the puzzle. And so Lee University promises, and in my case delivers, a 4-year home, 4.5-year home, that you can find some unexpected treasures. I think I'm just starting from my Lee experience to uncover what this greatness is and how to expect it better. And I thank Lee University for preparing me forward. Finally, I would like to thank President Walker and Chancellor Kahn for the opportunity to speak and share my little piece of the Lee University experience. Well, now that this speech is done, excuse me, I have to go write my wedding vows. Thanks.
As a Church of God kid, I had heard about Lee for a long time. One would even say my Lee story began back in 2002 when my parents attended Pentecostal Theological Seminary across the street. And my dad saw Lee and decided that one of his kids would go here. Now my dad, being the persuasive man that he is, got 3 of us to come here at the end of the day. However, even though my dad may have had Lee on his mind in the beginning, I can admit that Lee was not on mine. I spent all of high school trying so hard to get into any other school but Lee. However, senior year came and I finally sat down and listened to my dad's pitch on Lee, and I immediately knew that this was where God wanted me to be. Now, I will not lie, the most persuasive speech that I heard about Lee was that people leave here married. So I came to Lee a happy freshman, ready to get that degree, but most importantly, to get that ring everyone said they were selling here. However, walking into my Simmons third room with no friends, no family, and no prospects of husbands, I had no idea what God had in store for me. While I was looking for love in the form of a ring, God gave me love in the form of many people I encountered while I was here. I had friends in high school, of course, but I never knew what it truly meant to be a friend until I got here to Lee. I learned that friendship is not just in the good times. It's not just in the random trips to cookout, the church dates, the spontaneous drives to Atlanta, or the dance nights and movie nights. But friendship also looks like staying up late with a friend as they process a breakup. It looks like praying for someone in the challenging times and being there in their time of need. I learned the beauty of walking with someone through their story, the good, the bad, and the ugly. A group on campus that has walked with me in those times has been the family that I found in the University African Students Association, or LUASA for short. This group came into my life on freshman move-in weekend while I was searching in the boots looking for my place. I ended up finding my family. Coming to Lee as a minority, sometimes it was hard to find your voice in a place you convinced yourself it didn't belong. But the Lord blessed me with a group that not only showed me that my voice did belong here, but that my voice mattered. I learned the importance of inclusion, the importance of representation, and how to have the hard conversations. Luwasa became my home at Lee, and I'm so thankful to the students who worked so hard to make sure we can have it. Being in Luwasa gave me the courage to pursue positions that to me were out of my comfort zone completely. Now, Lee is a place that stresses the importance of communal living and relationships, and what better way to live out that vision than to join residential life and housing. Serving in the wonderful Simmons Second Hall my sophomore year, I learned the importance of vulnerability and how much strength there is in it. I learned the beauty of grace, undeserved but so freely given. Being on a team with fellow RAs and RCs, of which our team meetings mostly consisted of us crying, I learned the beauty of emotions and my Enneagram type. Now, if there's one thing that I got out of Lee, it was definitely the knowledge of the Enneagram. I won't keep you guys guessing, I am an Enneagram type 4, whose deep desire is to be significant and appreciated for our significance. Now, my Res Life journey did not just end in Simmons, but it got to continue in the wonderful halls of Keble. In this process, I learned that no matter how scary something new is, it can bring you some of the greatest friends and community you could have ever asked for. I learned that everyone, though different, had something special to bring to the table, and as an Enneagram Type 4, I loved that. From laughing till my belly hurt, to singing Cheetah Girls, from hall dinners to dance parties with my roommates, to endless nights crying, residential life and housing at Lee brought me some of the greatest memories. There are so many people that have impacted my Lee experience. I wish I could name them all. And although it seems as if my Lee story is ending, I know that this is a continuation. As I leave this campus, a proud alumna, I am proud to carry this flame with me wherever I go. My parents had no idea the seeds that they were planting for me in 2002, and I'm so thankful for their obedience, because in that I can speak to you guys here today. Even though this year has been filled with so much uncertainty, I'm reminded that this is not the end. May we continue to allow our flame to shine inside of us wherever we go.